Jimmy Dura, host of All Things Veterinary, a podcast that connects and unites the animal health community with ideas and innovation, topics to inspire you and energize your day. Hello and welcome to another episode of the All Things Veterinary Podcast. Today we are thrilled to be joined by our guest, friend, innovator, entrepreneur, podcast host, and all-around interesting and witty guy from Nova Scotia, CEO and founder of Talkatoo, Shawn Wilkie. Shawn, it's awesome to have you on, man. Thank you for your time today.
Jimmy, I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. Well, today we'd love to speak with you just about some general things, mainly embracing change within the industry, could be with technology, could be with other things. But I'd like to just kind of kick off the discussion by asking you, what's the benefit of embracing change or a potential disruption in veterinary medicine?
No, it's a loaded question, Jimmy. Thanks for it. Well, I think the position from that question when I try to come up with a witty answer for you is I've been working around technology for uh, around 20 years now. I started my first technology company was an MSP implementing and maintaining kind of technology for small businesses. And then I had another software company that I started alongside Google. And my first tech company in veterinary medicine was the first kind of dictation company, which was a company called Dragon Veterinary. It's still around today, and then transitioned to Talkatoo. And so the benefit of technology for veterinary medicine is a new approach, something that's different. And often in life and in business and in work, we do the same thing over and over again, and we hope for different results. And there's a problem in there, like the hope is a good thing to have, but doing the same thing over and over again and expecting or hoping for a different result is not necessarily how we get to the promised land, how we meet our goals, how we increase our revenue, how we decrease our costs. And so embracing change, embracing innovation often leads to the changes that we desire. Now, I always think of that Einstein quote, right? Doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. And so that's what I think of when I think of your question. And that just opens up this whole can of worms. The biggest challenge in the world of adopting change is this idea of change management. It's a whole practice. There's people that go to university and take designations to understand and to help people kind of go from where they're at today, and not just them, but a whole group of people, a practice, an independent practice, a group of practices, and implement change management processes so that you get to the other side of the change in a way that embraces whatever it is that you're trying to change as a group, not as an individual, one or two. And that's really a powerful practice. And I've learned that lesson the hard time many times. Change is hard. Technology change in veterinary medicine is like no one wants to touch it, right? Like we've got people that are on software that's 30 years old and for real good reasons. Like there's stats out there that say that, if you change your practice management system first couple of years, your revenue is going to go down. Like no one wants that. And I wouldn't want that if I was running a business. And it's the change piece. Now, if done right, it can be wonderful, but a lot of people don't account for that. A lot of people don't account for the cost of the change.
Do you think it's that fear, or not of a fear, but that the challenge of implementing the new technology, or the, like you said, the the art of implementation, or folks going to school to do the change implementation? Do you think that is one of the biggest hurdles to get a veterinary practice over, to just even start analyzing their own business just to see what change is needed? We don't, it's almost like looking in your garage and realizing I don't want to clean this out this weekend. It's like, I know it's there, but if I even open the door and look around, I know it's going to be a lot. You know, I know it's going to be a lot of work and it's going to really stink.
Yeah, yeah. I think fear is a huge reason why we as humans, me included, don't like change, right? Because it's just like it feels overwhelming. And when something feels overwhelming, we just kind of like close the door and don't bother to clean the garage, right? We'll get to it tomorrow. It'll happen, or it won't. I've learned a lot about change management. And one of the things that a little bit of a tidbit of knowledge for anybody that's out there, they think they should change, but they don't want to change. One thing that you can do quite easily is you can make it a group decision, and it actually makes the whole thing easier. It's like change management 101. So if you think you should but you're scared to do it, like you can build a little cohort, you can build a little team. It can be a technician that you really really value their opinion, maybe another doctor, an associate doctor, somebody from every part of the business. Like if you're a small 15-person organization or a small 5-person organization, like adjust appropriately. If you're 5 people, get 3 people together. If you're 15, maybe get 5 people together and be like, I really think we should do this. I'm really worried about it. And make it a group decision, because then all of a sudden, if you're Jimmy and your garage is really dirty, you get the girls together and your wife and you say, this is the weekend where we're going to clean the garage. And all of a sudden, you go from 2 sets of hands to 8 sets of hands. And it feels like the weight of this large decision all of a sudden has been shared, and it's not so complicated anymore. And the beautiful part of that is when you finish making the decision, you can all celebrate together. Or if it went really, really bad, you can all share the responsibility for the bad decision. And as an owner or a manager, it just makes it so much easier to kind of share the decision making and share the intellect that can be achieved by getting a group of people together. So it seems like a no-brainer when you think about it, but whether you pick the right piece of software or not, if you pick the right piece of software and you did it by yourself, nobody will thank you. But if you pick the wrong piece of software and you did it by yourself, everybody will blame you. And having a few advocates across the practice to pour their intellect into change and decision making just makes it easier.
That's brilliant, Sean. That is great advice. Is there a way to kind of attract those types of people who embrace change, or maybe begin this collaborative process in a business or a veterinary clinic? Like, is there a good way to start? You know, have you seen with folks you've worked with kind of, okay, here's what we're going to do from now on, no matter what decision or thing we're going to explore?
Yeah, man. Let me just go get my soapbox, because I'm very happy that you answered or asked me that question. So yeah, there is tons of stuff to do. And it really starts with identifying. So if I'm a small business owner, and I have been, I started my career with a company. It was me, a business partner, and one employee. And then we grew to five. And then before long, we were 20. And so I've been in multiple sizes of organizations, kind of as a leader or senior kind of person in the organization. And it's really really simple. You got to start with that group of people, the people that are like you, the people that you're super jacked up to come in and go to work with, the people that make you happy. Your people is how I would categorize this group that you want to make decisions with. And with that group, you can do kind of these fundamental things that a lot of people think they're kind of, they don't really have a place in business, or they're kind of things that you do when you get to a certain size of company. But establishing what your vision is for the organization, like if you want to deliver the best standard of care, or if you want to serve the underserved population in your community, in addition to providing the best standard of care, you need to come up with your purpose. The purpose of your veterinary hospital is to make the owner more money. It's going to be hard for your employees to rally around that. They'll probably show up to work. They'll probably maybe eat lunch in their car. They're probably not going to be super happy to be there, because it's not really something that people can get behind. But you come up with a mission, just whatever it is. It's a sentence, and you how you do this. You maybe go get coffee, or you invite these people to your house, or get away from the clinic and just figure out what it is that you want to do. Come up with some core values. And this is a tricky one. It's like one of these kind of like feels like a little airy fairy, like maybe a bad idea. Feels like I don't need this. I'm a small vet hospital and somewhere in rural Canada or rural United States. I don't need this. This is for big companies, but it's not. And so maybe your core values are like reliable. You have to be reliable to work here. You have to care. People have core values, but they just don't write them down. And so the starting point of like group decision is like establishing what it is that we're doing here together, like what's our mission, and then who do we want to work with. And so these kind of core values, once you have them established, then you've got your little group. You can keep adding people to your business that are like you, that have those core values, and then you can have that little group that kind of came up with the core values and helped make sure that you embrace them and you hire by them. And then you can use that group of people. It could be called a leadership team. It could just be your people, whatever you want to call it. But you can then use those core values to make decisions, to hire, to fire, to reward the people that you want to work with. And then you can also use them in this decision making process for technology or staffing or HR or whatever it is, because that shared decision making, it's just easier. It's just way easier. If you're one person and you feel all the pressure in your organization, like you're going to be stressed, you're going to be not loving your life. If you can share that with some other smart people, it makes it a lot easier.
Man, that's great advice. And it's hard. It's so simple to come up with that mission, goal, vision for what you're trying to do in your hospital or business, but it's a simple thing, but it is difficult to boil it down.
It's a game changer, right? It's the clinic that people don't want to work in versus the clinic that people want to work in. Working together as a group of people is hard. It's way easier when you have a shared vision and you have shared core values, because then you know your people.
Yeah, 100%. And I sit down with veterinarians who are looking to start their own practice pretty frequently, and one of the first questions I ask is, what is your goal? What is your differentiator? What are you trying to do? And a lot of times the answers sound very similar, and I try and challenge them on that to whittle it away a little bit, because some of that, we all do want to practice great medicine at an affordable price and take care of our staff. Where there's some similarities that all practices probably share, but I think it does take some thought to whittle it down to something from your heart, and then people want to follow that person.
Yeah, no, it's totally. And I mean, I'm sure Jimmy, you can relate to that. Like you go into a lot of practices, that's kind of your gig. You can tell within 30 seconds if it's a happy place to work or if people are stressed and don't want to be there. And using those kind of like core values to kind of make sure that people coming in or the people that are leaving are the right people to have on your bus. And every bus is different from the employee perspective, but you can sense it. And it's wild because a happy, well-run practice that has like shared vision and core values, oftentimes, most oftentimes, they're more profitable and people are happier, right? Like no one wants to go to work with people that they don't like working with. It's just not fun. And if
Amen.
you love the people that you work with, like you can't wait to show up on Monday morning and ask people how their weekend was, or maybe you already know how their weekend was because you were hanging out with them on the weekend.
For sure. And you're absolutely right. You can sense it, you can smell it, you can taste it when you walk in a building and get around a team and kind of know, are they having fun? Is the culture good? And clients, customers also can pick up on those things in many, many, many ways, for
It's
sure.
like
So,
it's invisible, but like to some degree, but it's wide open and visible, and it really has an impact. So, I mean, if you're a practice out there thinking like this resonates with you, or you think it might make some sense to you, there's a book which I recommend all the time. It's called Traction by Gino Wickman, and it's like a
mm,
blueprint on how to run a business. Tons of veterinary hospitals use it. It's not so great if you're under 10 employees. But if you're over 10 employees and growing and you need some systems, or you want to understand how to do this stuff and you don't want to have to figure it out on your own, you can probably buy it for $5 on Amazon, and it's incredibly helpful.
Love that. On kind of that culture vein, if you will, Shawn, can you talk about culture that embraces innovation and embraces the desire to be better? Kind of what are the benefits or attracting those kind of people, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's right back to the core values, right? So if you know the type of people you want to work with, all of a sudden you have a filter when you're hiring, right? Like if your core values are like work hard, play hard, or whatever they might be, maybe it's integrity or honesty or whatever. As you're sitting down to interview people, you can ask some questions to kind of like challenge them to self-identify whether or not that they would meet your core values. And so you can really, like, right from the day one of establishing the core values, you can change and weave them into your hiring processes. And I mean, it's veterinary medicine, it's hard to hire people even still, and so that's a challenge. But the number of veterinarians that are practice owners that I've met or that I know, it's a lot. And you hear it over and over again. It's like we had one bad hire, and she came in, and all of a sudden we had a great culture. Everybody liked each other, and then all of a sudden there was all these problems. And it's like that age-old saying, "The bad apple spoils the bunch." And so, kind of having core values help you identify and eject people that shouldn't be in your practice. There's this tool, and it's basically you rate your employees on your core values. It's called GWC. It's from that book that I mentioned, and it's do they get their job? So gets it, yes or no? Yeah, they get it. Do they want their job? Do they want to be here? And do they have the capacity, like the skills and ability to do their job? Yes or no? If there's a no for any one of those, probably shouldn't have that person in your organization. And then the core values, you score them, like, so if it's honesty, hardworking, reliable, ability to adapt and adjust, or whatever your core values are, you score them on those plus or minus, or plus minus. And it's a simple little tool. You run through the GWC and the core values, and if they don't meet the criterias that you say are the bar. So GWC have to be a yes. Core values, you can have 5 out of 7. If they don't meet that bar, there's a tool to tell you in a very systematic way, you've got somebody on your bus that's like removing the seats, the screws to the seats before you go on your trip. They're trying to, with their actions, hurt your business, hurt the rest of your employees. And it's an incredible tool. You can GWC, or you can go through this people analyzer tool in 5 minutes for all of your employees and have concrete evidence that you've got somebody that you got to get rid of.
Wow. That sounds like a fantastic tool.
Yeah, it's magic for entrepreneurs, because like nobody likes hiring, no one, and no one likes firing. They're like the worst things that you need to do as an entrepreneur or as a business owner. And so to have some tools in a toolkit that make it easier, it's brilliant.
That's fantastic. I think every veterinarian, practice manager, all those would agree that hiring and firing is the most important and the least favorite to do and stressful and all those things. All right. As a tech and AI and innovator owner of a tech company, I'd love to shift in that direction and glean a little knowledge from you, Shawn. When it comes to maybe AI in general or that kind of specific category, can you tell us where we are in the industry as far as adoption, what the landscape currently looks like, and where we're headed?
Wow, that's another great question. Thanks you for it, Jimmy. It's probably the most interesting time in technology, in veterinary medicine, in since the existence of this profession. There is a ton of change. When I started the Veterinary Innovation Podcast back in 2019, me and my co-host, we said, we'll run this for like 20 episodes. We'll do a year. And then we'll probably run out of like innovative companies. We're just about to cross over episode 300, and we're over 5 years in now. And at the start, we were kind of all around the world looking for innovation, and we found a lot, and found that there became even more and even more and even more. And we have a huge wait list to get on our podcast because there's all of this innovation happening in veterinary medicine. That happened even before this latest AI trend that kicked off about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. But innovation has found veterinary medicine. And the reason why is innovation loves problems. And veterinary medicine has a ton of them, especially after COVID. Veterinary medicine became super duper hotbed for innovators looking for challenges. And the reasons that that happened, everybody knows them. We all were stuck at home. Everybody got a puppy. It looks like you got one. I see the dog behind you. Thanks for that, Jimmy. Thanks. The industry thanks you. We got another pet during COVID. All of a sudden, there was this boom, and there was this demand for care, which put pressure and strain on an already strained, problem ridden industry to do more with less. And so it's created all of these challenges. We've got burnout, the highest suicide rate out of any profession. It's an incredible profession. I feel so lucky and so blessed to have found veterinary medicine, almost 10 years ago, because the people are unbelievable. They're the best. Veterinarians, technicians, people that work in these practices across the country, they're just like wonderful, compassionate people. However, we've got all of these challenges. Innovation showed up, got tons of startups, tons of new companies, tons of really incredible innovators doing all kinds of amazing things because there's problems to be solved. Whether it's staying late doing medical records, which we help with, whether it's the shortage of staff, the demand that's been on the industry, both up and down. There's just a ton of issues that innovation can help with, and is. I mean, there's so many incredible tools and solutions that I've seen over the last 5 years that are really making a massive difference on the industry. And then AI showed up, and it's like this incredible opportunity to do things in a different way. And one of the number one use cases for AI is assisting people with medical records. And that's not just in veterinary medicine, that's in human medicine, that's in dentistry, it's in all these industries where there's a legal requirement to document what happens in the room. The state of our industry, this veterinary health industry, is that it's buzzing, it's booming. Lots of massive investment in the space, lots of incredible innovation. The AI kind of portion of it, it's also booming. There's 30 competitors now creating different AI tools, which is wild. Just a couple of years ago, we were it. Talkatoo was the only people doing really anything substantial with voice in the industry. And it was, I mean, we got lucky. We grew around the world. We added a ton of staff. We have a ton of customers. We've got great partners like Patterson. Jimmy, I'm super hopeful that all of these challenges that veterinary medicine faces because of AI, because of innovation, are literally going to solve the issues for anybody that wants them to be solved. And I see it every single day. Our usage of our product at Talkatoo continues to grow so far past my expectations. And it's because of the utility that we provide. If you can walk into a room, record what is said, generate a medical record that's comprehensive and detailed with the press of a button, we're now in the promised land. Like when I started Talkatoo, that's what I had hoped for. back in 2019, we were thinking if we can take a smart speaker and put it in a veterinary clinic, and you could say like, "Okay, Google," or "Alexa, record this exam," and everything would be recorded, and we would generate a medical record. That was the original vision when we started Talkatoo. And we're not using Google's or Amazon Alexas. We're using people's smartphones because they've got really, really great microphones. But we're able to do that today. And so it's pretty damn cool.
It's so cool, man. I've heard you describing your platform as a one button technology, and I love that. And I love that it is solving a problem. Like you kind of described, necessity is the mother of invention. Veterinary medicine has problems like all industries, and this being a tool to solve one of those problems is it's really neat when you see it in action. And it's such a big problem. I think compounded with other problems. It's a time suck to put in soap notes, and we don't have enough people to start with before we even got there. And it's kind of like compounded that particular problem. And so it's pretty neat to watch it. And you know what I've found interesting lately is, and kind of back to your point earlier on, maybe getting a champion, if you will, or get a couple folks in the hospital that are ready to embrace X technology, or let's get a couple people on board with your platform. I have seen in hospitals it can even be adopted by one or two inside of a practice. You obviously hope if you bring in a technology, probably everyone gets on board. But I've also seen where some people are ready and some people aren't, and that's okay. And I've seen those people pick it up, run with it, and then the others in the office are looking over, watching, kind of like if you're riding a really crappy bicycle and you see some guy zip past you with an effortless motion, and you're like, what is that, what's that guy doing? I think that's some of that, the manual and the inputting, typing in soap notes, and you look over and somebody's packing up to leave for the day because they kind of just reviewed what they had dictated earlier, kind of looked over a couple things, and they're headed out the door. That's how a technology like yours can get in a hospital because someone was ready to try it, because it's all over in life anyway. With the, hey, Alexa, do this or whatever. Hey Siri, it's like it's out there. And to bring it in a clinic, sometimes all it takes is one or two early adopters, and the rest look over and like, okay, okay, I see it. I'm sorry. Let's try that. The All Things Veterinary podcast is sponsored by Patterson Veterinary, supplier of products, equipment, software, services, and essentials for your practice. Patterson goes the extra mile to make sure you get what you need quickly, develops ways to help your practice run a little better, and backs it all with legendary customer service. Find All Things Veterinary at PattersonVet.com. What would you say, Shawn, to those in a vet practice who aren't staying super current on this technology, and maybe have a fear, or maybe just kind of inherent resistance? Is there anything you would tell those folks to kind of put them at ease, or kind of let them in on where we are, and the good things about it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always fear, uncertainty, and doubt around new technology. That will always be there. We're comfortable doing the things that we've done the way that we've always done them, and that's why we do them that way. So there's a couple of things. One, this is a big deal. This AI thing that everybody's talking about, it's really able to do things and actions and in jobs and instructions that give people an unfair advantage if they use it and embrace it. So that's the first thing. I think that if you'd like to have a bit of an unfair advantage against the guy that's down the street running a practice, this is a what I would deem an unfair advantage. Having technology write your medical records better than you can do them, quicker than you can do them, frees you up to do other things. And that's why we should embrace technology. I think embracing every technology with like a healthy amount of skepticism is always a great idea. So trying things, working with companies like Talkatoo, we've got a money back guarantee. If you don't like it, we'll get your money back. And so that says something. It says that, hey, there's some confidence that this product's going to do what it says it's going to do, because if not, we're giving you your money back. But I think those are the 2 points. I think, like, healthy skepticism on any new technology is a not a bad thing, but AI in the industry, it's not even that well, or not even that widely adopted, Jimmy. I would say my estimate is, out of all of the veterinary practices and all of the AI companies, we probably haven't reached 10% of the industry yet. So it's a big, big opportunity. There's still tons of people that have listened to your show that maybe thought they should try it, that haven't. And you definitely should give AI a try, whether it's for radiographs or scribing or any of these opportunities to kind of have an unfair advantage. It's how you make more money. It's how you make more profits. It's how you go home early. There's a lot of good stuff here, and giving AI a try, I'm a huge proponent.
I love that. Thank you. Where do we pace, 10% uptake? Where do we pace compared to human medicine or dentistry or maybe even other industries that we don't know of? Where would you say we
Yeah,
are?
so yeah, so some stats from the medical world: 40% adoption of scribing in human medical in the US and Canada. So we're pretty far behind, but there's a lot of noise, a lot of attention, a lot of people talking about it, and a lot of people trying it. So I think the adoption is going to be fairly quick over the next couple of years. The challenge that we have in veterinary medicine, and it's across the board, is just this busyness that happens in a vet
Mm.
hospital. There's just no time in anybody's day. And so, like, this idea of thinking about doing something, often there's not time enough in the day to even have those thoughts. And so that's one of the things that we've got working against us. But as people use this technology and adopt it, as it gets easier to use, one of the things that we've done in our software, and we were the first company in veterinary medicine to do this, is we made it possible for you to make outbound calls in Talkatoo using what looks like your cell phone keypad. You just dial a number and you make a call. And because callbacks are such a big part of veterinary medicine, you dial a number, hang up the call, and we give you a summary of the phone call, everything that needs to go in the medical record, and you can easily get it in the medical record. But there's going to be more and more use cases that are super simple to use. And if it's super simple to use and it doesn't feel like you're using AI, it feels like you're using your cell phone, then the adoption will increase. And we've seen the adoption of that feature grow faster than anything that we've ever built before. First, the simple reason is nobody loves doing callbacks at 5 o'clock when they would rather go home. And so, this feature is kind of brilliant. You make the call, you can do it on your cell phone. It appears like you're calling from the clinic. And so the number of people that I talked to that said, they use our call summaries feature on their drive home, their callbacks are done when they pull in the driveway. Like, that's kind of like a magic moment. Instead of having to stay at the clinic, do an hour of calls, then go to the computer and type everything that you just said 5 minutes ago. It's a pretty neat use case. And so there's more and more use cases like that that I think really will drive adoption. The challenge for us as a software company is to make it so easy to use that it's almost invisible. Like, you don't even feel like you're using a piece of technology. And when we can do that, that's when I'm a happy CEO.
That's so cool to hear all of those points, Shawn. I mean, it's exciting to hear you describe it as, like you said, we all have a smartphone in our pocket. Where we are today in our day-to-day lives is already so far, and the more any new tool or technology like yours specifically that's already like what we use and are comfortable with anyway, the more it turns into that, the easier it'll be. And I think this is the fastest, I mean, it is the fastest growing technology in the industry because the problem that it's solving is so large. And I like to ask people in clinics, it's not about technology, it's about the problem. Do you enjoy putting in your call notes? Do you enjoy making those callbacks? Or maybe it's how painful do you find cleaning up your notes at the end of the day? And you see the look on the face And if I'm in a hospital late in the afternoon, evening, and I look down in the doctor's office or the kind of the lounge, and I see a couple of them hammering away, I know what they're doing, and I feel bad, and I know it's going to take them a couple hours or whatever. That problem's large, and so that's what's exciting to me about this technology is it solves that big problem. And because it's a technology that is a one button type of technology, the implementation isn't it doesn't feel as daunting as I hate to just throw a PIM system under the bus or, something more involved to adopt. You know what I mean? This is more of a tuck in or a weave in technology. And some technologies are harder and easier to adopt than others. So I would put this in the easier category. I hate to put you on the spot with this one, Shawn, but is there a percentage? Have you found, maybe word of mouth, or a percentage of time saved, if you will, if you had to kind of throw something out like that?
Yeah, I love that question and I love answering it because the way that I answer it is if anybody tells you, you're going to save 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day or 10 hours a week, generally they're kind of full of it. There's no one size fits all,
Right.
and there's not been any comprehensive studies done, even in human medicine, that have any kind of like scientific backing. What I would say, after talking to hundreds of customers that use our product, and that's one of my favorite jobs that I do in my seat, is I talk to our top users and a lot. Like last month, I had 50 conversations with some of our top users, and they say a variety of different things. Some say that they save 2 hours every single day. Other people say they don't really save any time, which is peculiar to me, but that their medical records are much more comprehensive and they're less stressed. And tell me about less stressed. I will often say, and they'll tell me that if they don't type their medical records directly after the exam, they might make some notes, but they can't remember everything that happened. They don't know what was said by the pet parent or what they said. They have a general sense because they've got some hand scratching on a piece of paper. But with our software, you press one button, you record everything that's said in the exam room, and you have that forever. And so some people get super busy. You get super busy. I get super busy. We don't even know which way is up. Veterinarians the same way. Maybe they see 30 rooms in a day, and they go to look at their notes, and they look at their notes, and they're like, "What did I do with that dog? What happened in the room? I can't remember." And that sounds really stressful, especially if your medical license is on the line, if you didn't document things properly. And so some people have said, I don't really save any time, but I'm less stressed. And then we have other people that are like, it used to take me 3 hours a day to do my medical records, and now I can get them done in 30 minutes. So we have a broad spectrum, but there's no one size fits all answer. The one thing that I would say for sure is your medical records will improve. This kind of baggage of remembering what happened in 10 or 15 or 30 rooms and trying to recall that goes away. And generally, you've got a bunch of things that happen. Having the entire exam recorded, if you have some disgruntled customer, one out of 1,000, that is making things up and is just a bad person. And we'd all love to think people like that don't exist, but it happens. Now you've got a record of everything that was said. You've got a transcript that's all typed of both sides of the conversation, and you've got a medical record. So there's like all of these benefits beyond time savings. There's definitely time savings there. Like if we think about just those callbacks, say you've got three callbacks, they're 20 minutes, and then you've got one that's 45. If you've got a 45-minute call, to write everything that was said on that call that's important and then to type it in the practice management system, we're saving a ton of time there. But it's wide open, and that's how I'd answer the question is it's like it depends on how you work. because there's no one size fits all way to answer the question.
Oh, it's brilliant. And I haven't spent enough time thinking about that mental load that can be lifted from the veterinarian or technician's mind of recalling one of the 12 rooms they saw that day or whatever the number is on top of life outside of veterinary medicine. Maybe you're in the room and your phone buzzed and you're a mom and you know that your kid was feeling bad, and so all of a sudden you're thinking, during school, and you're thinking about your kid, and then the pet owner sitting there describing their dog, and life's happening, and you weren't really dialed in, and then you
Yeah.
walk out. But the mental load that can be lifted by this tool, I haven't spent enough time thinking about that, Shawn. That's a great description.
It's
Hard to
not just
put a price on that.
And it's not just mental load, it's like other things. And I hear so much from our customers, Jimmy. Like one of the things that blew my mind the other day is a vet told me they put a stethoscope in and they're listening to the lungs and they're listening to the heart. And this thing's still recording. And often what happens when you're quiet is people don't like no conversation. So they just keep talking to you. But if you get a stethoscope in and you're listening to the heart, all of a sudden things are being said, you're not hearing them. Guess what? They show up in the medical record because they were all
Mm,
recorded.
good point.
And so it's not just like missing things or like maybe you shut off and you're thinking about something because it's all being recorded and transcribed. But it's things like when you go to do your record, maybe you gave an injection and you forgot about it. But you're like, I'm going to give this dog an injection of Betterol or, whatever. And you say that out loud, and then you see an organized section of all of the things that are billable in your SOAP note. So it's mental load, it's missed charges, it's defense against a bad actor that's wants to threaten your license when you did tell them that you were going to take radiographs and you did tell them that it was going to be $600 and they said yes, absolutely, go ahead, and all of a sudden they said no, you didn't tell me, about that. So there's like all of these fringe benefits to the technology that we built besides just writing the medical record, and it's hard, like you said, to put a price on it. But one thing's for sure, you can reduce the mental load, you can save yourself some time, and you can feel a lot better by offloading that work to a piece of technology that's specially designed to do that work for you.
100%. In the impact, thinking about kind of one of the fringe benefits you mentioned, thinking about the impact of a negative review on social media that someone could post of the visit or interaction, if you have that recorded and you're able to check in with that bad actor, if you will, and say, yeah, I mean, the things you're saying online aren't true. And we'd appreciate you taking that post down. And we actually have the interaction recorded and you're welcome to listen to it. And,
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
like we told you about when you came in for the visit. And
right.
that's another thing that we've experienced is like some parties or some states require two-party consent, some states require one-party consent when it comes to recording. Most are actually one-party consent states. But we tell every single one of our customers, let your customers know that you're recording for the purpose of generating your medical records. It's going to save them a little bit of money, it's going to save you time, and there's yet another benefit that we never thought about. If you tell somebody that you're recording them, all of a sudden they're on their best behavior. They're no longer being as much of a pain in the butt that they might be as if they didn't know they were being recorded. So there's all these like subtle things that are massive benefits to the user of a product like Talkatoo. It's pretty cool.
That's
A bunch
brilliant.
of stuff that we wouldn't even have ever knew this stuff if we weren't out talking to people that use it every day.
Right. It's easy to see your passion and your excitement about this tool, and we're just very thankful to have you on and thankful to be a partner with you. And we're going to link to everything Talkatoo in the show notes for our conversation. And we just want to thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, Jimmy, thanks for having me. big shout out to Patterson. You guys have been a fantastic partner. We get to work with people like you all the time, and we're really lucky to have had this partnership now going strong for 4 years.
Excellent. Thank you, Shawn. Thank you for listening. Join us for more ideas and inspiration on the next All Things Veterinary podcast.